Hey there guys, DMO73 here, bringing you the first attack profile of the day. This is for my Black Moon new Rezzard deck. I call the Tale of Rezzard. It is a primarily stealth kind of control deck. So let's just go ahead and dig right in. Tons of fun, really utilizes new Rezzard's mechanics a lot. I really like it a lot. So obviously our ruler is Memoria of the Seven Lands. The new ruler, just pay for it to flip it. You only really want to flip it when you have a Necromancer's Memoria, Sorrowful Necromancer's Memoria. Flips over into Rezzard, the Dark Necromancer. So he is 800, 1000. He gains the name Rezzard, the Desecrating Vampire, when he is flipped. And then if you have a Sorrowful Necromancy's face up, when you flip him, the top 4 cards of your deck go face down into your standby. And if you have 4 of them, then you get 7 cards face down. But the best part about him is for 1 darkness, you can at instant speed set a card in your chance standby zone. The fact that you can set chance standbys at instant speed with stealth resonators is essentially like giving them all of them quick cast. It is really, really strong and has a pretty big impact on the game state. Moving into stones, we run 3 of the Sorrowful Necromancy's Memoria. We don't really need to run 4. Because we're never really getting that high anyway. Typically before we flip, we really only need to hit 1, and we want to have more darkness stones. You can also use this for exiling for Schrodinger. 3 Black Moon's Memoria to be able to have some moon sources for things like Izanami or Lucifer. And then 4 darkness stones to be able to make sure that we can get the triggers for things like Riza and Executioner and stuff like that that require us to have a darkness and magic stone. Going right into the Resonators, like I said, it's pretty heavy, and a lot of these creatures we've seen before. 3 Executioners, really love setting this card off of a Riza, so like flipping Riza, immediately setting this, and then immediately flipping it over and killing something. Really, really awesome. Is repeatable, you can do all kinds of different stuff with it. Plus later on, once you get a Hades, these essentially become Stoning to Deaths, which is really, really nice. And we have just 2 Izanami, just for some extra discard package, and some free fodder to kind of put face down and use for Hades later, and then kind of get double dosage out of them. So it gives something -4/-4, and then make them discard a card. Plus instant speed discard for Merlin is really, really good. 2 Merlins, giving something -7/-7 is legitimate. And it's a body, and again you can kind of get it at instant speed with Izanami and stuff, which is really good. 2 Persephones, this is primarily used to bring back Riza or Lucifer or Dark Arthur, but late in the game, if you can succeed in flipping over a Riza, that's really, really powerful and can have a big impact, especially if it's a Dark Arthur. Only 2 Riza. The reason why I only run 2 is because of her requirement to have 4 magic stones. So that, plus having 1 darkness stone and having no creatures, it's just a lot of really specifics, and so I only use 2 because I primarily only use 2 to get myself down to 2000 life. The big heavy hitter, Rezzard's dad, Melder. This guy is insane. He's got incredible stats. His requirement just to have a darkness stone and be under 2000 life is insane. So he can essentially, when you flip, be a 1-drop 10/10 that also gives something at least -4/-4. Because for every stealth resonator you control when he enters the field, you just bam, just give something -4/-4. So you have like some executioners or stuff like that. This guy just becomes a powerhouse. 2 Lucifer. Here's the second one. For some lifelink and some being able to kind of spot remove creatures if needed. 1 Dark Arthur for a stat neg and a really nice target for Persephone for a stat neg and stat pump. And then, because we don't really have much draw power in the deck, we do actually run 4 Hades. Just so that, worst comes to worst, they become cards that I just set face down once one is kind of stuck on the board, to be able to, give something a -4/-4. Nothing really in this deck becomes a dead card once I flip. It all just essentially says pay 1 black, give something -4/-4, provided that I have Hades on the board. The fact that he can let me repeat things like Melder or Executioner, or use a Stoning to Death at instant speed, kind of whenever, as long as I have a stealth card face down. Really, really strong, plus 14/14 is a massive body, and later the game goes, the cheaper he becomes to cast because his cost gets reduced by every card that I flip face down. So really, really awesome. Moving on to the Regalia. We run 3 Deathscythe because it's a stat pump, and we can steal creatures because we also have the name Rezzard, the Desecrating Vampire. And 2 Schrodinger for some imperishable options, as well as if the game drags on, eventually we will get to the point RFGing cards with Sorrowful Necromancies that we can have the stat pumps from Schrodinger's, which is really nice. Plus it's free will, so who doesn't like that? Moving on to the spells. 3 Soul Hunt for some creature removal early on, as well as some discard package. Call of the Primogenitor for some recursion and some searching later on. Be able to grab Hades when you need it, or bring back a Rezzard, or I'm sorry, a Melder or a Riza, or even a Hades from the grave is really nice. 2 Lapis's Darkstorm because it's darkness control, and like making your opponent have no cards while you have 5 cards face down is really, really awesome. 3 Eye in the Darkness. This card is absolutely bonkers. So, especially in this deck, because when you flip Rezzard, if you have a Desecrating Vampire, you know, if you have Necromancy's Memoria up, you get 4 cards face down, and even if you haven't put anything face down before, this becomes a 1-drop -16/-16 to J/Resonator at instant speed for only 1. That is insanely strong. We don't run 4 because it does require a little bit of setup, but just as a 1-up with Rezzard is just bonkers. The things that you can kind of kill, and just, it's not damage, but it's so much of a stat neg that you can just like one-shot pretty much anything in the game, especially later on. I think there was one point in time in testing where I gave something -40 because I had 10 cards face down, so just -40 for 1, like guaranteed lethal there. And then 3 Dark Purges for some more stat bag, kind of instant speed removal, and then 1 of Endless Night for more hard removal, as well as more stat negs on everything else. So there you have it, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I, for one, am a huge fan of playing this deck. It is a ton of fun. I definitely think that once Dual Stones come out in Vingolf, some variant of this deck could actually be decently competitive. So I'm going to be tooling around with it a lot. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe as always. Check me out on Patreon to support and help me create even better content. And until next time, guys, this is DMO73 signing off.